So hello guys, welcome back to another video, and for this one you're doing something different than the normal. So what we have been doing before, we've been working with PHP, but for this situation what you're going to be doing, we're going to be looking at another code builder called flutterflow. Now flutterflow lets you build applications, basically lets you build applications for mobile apps. As you can see, I have this application I'm working on right now, and what you're going to be looking at is going through the whole process of me having to integrate an endpoint to flutterflow, and then we're also going to link the parameters in the endpoint with the text box. So basically, so I want to be verifying all that stuff with flutterflow. And if what I'm using for an endpoint is a project generated by PHP. So PHP is another code generator that generates PHP code, so you can get it as php.com. But there's a new version which is called RAS Systems. So RAS System is also a product of PHP, but RAS System now allows you to generate projects based on different things. So it basically uses Vue.js, Quasar, and some backend APIs, which is Node.js, Laravel, .NET, and also some Python. So you can check it out. For this situation, what you're going to be using in PHP at Classic 2.7.3, and I'm using their APIs here. And I have a function I just created here, which is is trying to get some code from the backend, but this is generally not what I need from here. So what I need from here is I have a security area here. Is it where I have? Yeah, I have security area. So I'm going to be getting security area. So I want the pin from security area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and I'm going to say select pin from security area. So it's going to be security area where user. Do I have the user there? Where user, yeah. Where user is equals to that. So I'm going to save this, and that is all we need. Now you need to register your endpoints in PHP, so in flutterflow. So we are now going to flutterflow. So we want to use that endpoint to get a response back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here to where we have this get balance. I'm going to create an API call, and this API call, basically what I need is I need to give it a name. So you can say get pin, right? Now the URL, these are get requests, but however there are other requests you need there. So we are going to be using a get request. I'm going to say HTTPS, and then over here we're going to be calling our endpoint. So it's going to be singlePay app.com/payments/fashion1/ I wouldn't recommend if you're making a video to expose an endpoint that you're going to be using in production. So for my situation, this is a test endpoint. So if you have your own endpoint, you can just put it down like this. Now we have singlepayapp.com/payments, and then we have an API. So these are your reach APIs in Flat Systems or PHP. So it's API and then the name of the function. So the name of our function is called getPin. So this is all we want. So we're going to come here. We're going to come here and call it getPin, like that. So this getPin requires some parameters here, but we are not the ones who are going to be entering those parameters. Instead, what you're going to do is you're going to come down here and add a parameter. So the parameter that we are going to be using in our situation, you have to notice here we have API key and account number. So we're going to start with the account number. So I'm going to come here and pass the account number. All right, so it's going to be an integer. And I'm going to create another account number here, a parameter, sorry, called API key. So these are parameters from my API. So if you have your own API, you need to just put it there. So my API key is a string, and we're not going to click save. What you're going to do is we are going to pass our parameters here. So I have an account number. So this is an account number that is already available in our system, and it's going to be 36547. So let's test what we get. Remember, we are doing some checkings here. So if it's authenticated, then we render this. If not, then we render this error message. So I'm just going to come down here and test the API like this. So let's see what you get. So this is a 404. So basically 404 basically means it's not found. So what do we have here? Okay, so we have get pin payments version 1 single pay HTTP. Yeah, we wrote it the wrong way. So when I was creating it, I wrote an extra T here. So we can just go back here and test one more time. Good. So we are now sure that we are missing something. So we are saying API number cannot be empty. So this is an error that is coming from here. We have this out function here which says API key cannot be empty. So it's checking if the API key is empty. So we are not yet getting this error, so we need to get our error. So the first thing we need to do is we need to pass a random API key. So we are not sure what you're passing, but it's there so that we don't get the API key empty. So now we are able to get this unauthenticated error which is coming from here. Good. So we now need to just pass the right API key. So I'm just going to pause and capture an API key somewhere. Alright, so I took some API key from here. I'm just going to paste it there and let's test it. So let's run it. Okay, so this one says no. So let me check, but the success is success. Everything is success. So I'm just going to check what the error is. Alright, so the error might be coming from here. So we now have not yet returned the right stuff. So we're going to say return render JSON. So basically this one should give us the data if there is. So also we have this issue. Also the return is really not necessary. The issue is here, security area. We're going to come here and save. So we're going to go back and let's run the code. There we go. So we now have the pin, which is 1, 2, 3. Now we have the JSON paths. Now the JSON paths lets you navigate through the array easily. So in our case, we're only getting one record, which is coming back as an array. So we need to only access that one particular record. So that's where the JSON paths come in. If you have more paths that you need that you're going to be using in the front end, then you create a JSON path. You understand what they mean in a few. So I'm going to come here another JSON path and I'm going to call it the pin. So the actual pin, we need the actual pin here. So it's really not necessary. It can be anything, it can be our home pin, it can be user pin. So let's just call it user pin. Okay, so it's just going to be user pin like that. And the JSON path is going to be dot. Now the JSON path, you need to understand the structure of a JSON. So right now this is an array and this is an object. So it's only one array. So we know that automatically is only one result in the response. So we take the first data of the array, which is going to be the first index of the array, which is going to be 0. So when you're counting arrays, they start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So in our case, we only have 1. So we know that the index is 1. So it becomes 0 by default. Now we need to access this object. So we say dot pin. So if we say dot pin now, like this, note that I'm getting pin from here because this is what's coming from the response. Now we have this path that we have just created here. So if you come to the path name here, we are going to be using this path name called .pin. And there you go. We have the pin coming back to us. All I'm going to do right now is just save this. And that's it. Now, if we go to the front end part of it, we now need to create something. I'm just going to come here and we have this page. So I want to create a new page, which is going to be checking for the pin. So however, you might maybe be needing something different, but there's different ways you can do it. We'll be looking at them in the later videos. But for this situation, let's go ahead and create a new page. So I'm just going to create a new page and I'm going to call this page confirm pin. So I'm just going to click on it and I'm going to call it enter pin. So that's what I want to call it. So there are several pages you could choose from here, but in my case, I just need to create my own. So I'm just going to create a new one here, and it's just going to be called enter pin. So at the top here, you can change it, and you're going to call it enter pin. There you go, enter pin. All right, so we have that right there. Good. Now, whatever that follows inside here is up to you to choose. So what I want to do is, normally what I like doing is I have the up bar at the bottom. So I just like doing this. Just take this column and drag and drop it at the bottom here so that now it appears below the up bar. So you just make sure it's on the blue line, that is. Yeah, there you go. And now what I want to do here is I want to add, what do I want to do? I want to add a row, one row, and then another row. Just going to create 2 rows. There you go. Or I can just have one row. Yeah, let me just have one row. Is it one? Let me have two. Let me have two rows. And yeah, there we go. So what I want to do is make these rows float at the center. So what I'm going to do is come here to the column, click on it, and you have this mark main axis alignment. Just click on this one that looks at the center here. So we have it at the center. And then I'm going to go to the rows and I'm going to make them float at the center too. Maybe appear at the center. Now the other one is also going to appear at the center like that. And what I want to do at the top here is I want to add a text box. So I'm just going to come here and take a text box somewhere, just a text. You can just come over here and type text like that. It's going to give us these form elements text field. So this text field, I want it to be a pin. All right, so I'm just going to come here, do some adjustments. So I'm going to first change the hint inside there. So the hint, we are going to change it to enter pin. Then I want to make these I want to make this thing basically to be excuse me, I want it to be the text to float at the center. So I'm also going to go here and make the text to be at the center. There you go. Then you can change the font size here, how you want it to look like. You can change the font family here. So in our situation, we are using Inter. You can check all the Google fonts you want from here. We're going to have Inter. We have Inter from here. There you go. And that's it. Hey, come on. All right, there we go. Now, the next thing you need to do is, I think that's just it. We don't need to complicate it too much. I want it to just be like that. Now, let's go to the center, the bottom row. Now, the bottom row, we need to add something else. I want to first of all give it a padding of top to be something like 30. Give it 30. There you go. Then inside this row, I'm going to add a button icon. Okay, now it's going to be a button icon. Let's go and look for button icon button, this one. Here you go. And we want to give it a background color. Right now it doesn't have any color, so let's go at the bottom here and we are going to look for a field color. So the field color is going to be a line color, so it can be any color you want for your application. Now the why I like the line color is, as you can see, you still can see it from here, and also at the top here, if you do it like this, you can still see it. So I'm just going to go back to that icon and change the icon to something else. So I want to pick arrow. Okay, I want the arrow. So I have an arrow I like. Yes, I have favorite arrows. This one, I like this arrow very much. Okay, so let's go ahead and we have that already. And then we have our text field here. So what I want to do is change this text field to be pin. So I think there's a place you can do that. I want to change it from here. So it's going to be pin. That means it's going to be masked. All right. Let's go ahead and do anything else. From this area, if your text field is outlined, right now my text field is none. Okay, basically that's the border of the text field. Okay, so what I mean by none is at the bottom here where we have underline. I don't want it to be underline, actually I want it to be none, but if you have it as outline like this, you notice that it's going to be floating at the end entirely. So let me show you what I mean by this. So let's give it a color. So the border should have a color. The border color should be primary, not really primary, but primary text. Yeah, let's have it like that. So you notice that the border color, this whole thing is going to the end. So what you do is you alter the row. So you can give the row some padding from the left. So you can say padding from left is going to be like 15, and also from this side should also be 15, so that your text field floats just somewhere inside there. There you go. Now you can give it a border radius. You can play around with that on your own free time. And the next thing you're going to do is we're going to come generally that's it. So what we need to do here is allow a person to enter some values, and we can click on this and pass it to another page. So we need to add an action to this button here. So actions basically, like if you're coming from RAD systems, actions are like page events. What happens after you click, or on click event, click events. So the action, think of the action as a click event. but it has some several options you could use. You need to come here, just click on the button, go to actions and click on open action flow editor, add a new action. So once you add a new action, it has these defined. So what we need to do is to call an API from here. We need to call an API. So once we call an API, it should tell us like what is going on, what needs to be done. But I don't need this video to be very long. So what I'm going to do is there will be a part 2 of this. So just check the part 2 of this and we are going to be continuing it from here. We don't want to make a very long video about this. So check out the part 2 and see what, just check it in the channel. It's available there. All right. So see you in the next one.